Hello and welcome to the session. I am Akshay Kumar from School of Computer and Information Sciences, and in this session we will be discussing about Block 2, Information Technology in Action. So that is a very important topic as far as dealing with information technology is concerned. Well, information technology basically will be talking in terms of information and communication technology. But what do we mean by IT in action? Well, information and communication technology can be used in many different areas or applications, as you all know, such as education, right? Now today if I have to learn anything, okay, suppose I am not clear about a topic, let us say thermodynamics in engineering, then I simply go to websites or YouTube lectures, I will get to that information. Okay, so there will be a lecture which will be explaining me about that. Then the medicine, I think one of the major application of ICT today is medicine. You name anything in medicine, starting from medical devices such as CT scans, right, MRI scans, okay, ultrasound, all these have gone digital now. So information is recorded, even X-rays have become digital. So everything is stored digitally and can be communicated directly to the doctor, and the reports can be generated without doctor being present at the site of where the test has been performed. Now as far as banking is concerned, there is a great reduction in the banking requirement as far as the banks are concerned, in the sense that physically people are not going there. It is not that the banking requirement has gone down, but the efforts required by the people has gone down, because many of the people now are doing transactions by themselves. Then the governance, I mean how good it is that most of the government facilities are reaching to our house. Isn't it a great asset for us? Okay. So something that has happened today is that we are having access to lot of information at our house, okay, and we are able to fill many forms which we were not able to do earlier, government related forms. We are able to get a lot of government related information on website, using the internet technology or information and communication technology, or IT in the one particular sense. Agriculture has shown tremendous improvement. There are many hubs available for agriculture stuff, and a lot of agriculture expert systems are also available, agriculture information systems are also available, and people are even working in the areas like at what point, at what season, what kind of crop is to be sown, right. So that and this particular thing is taking care the geography of that particular area, the expected rainfall which is going to occur in that particular area, the climatic condition in that particular area, and so many factors which earlier we were not able to think, now are being taken care of, and chances are that this is going to result into better and better situation for our farmers. Okay. Weather forecasting has become a very important area where the prediction is mainly done about the monsoon and all that, and gradually they are becoming localized prediction. Then disaster forecasting and management, I think you might have heard about this particular thing, that at one point of time we had almost no information about disasters, and disasters used to really cause major problems. But nowadays the systems have been developed to predict disaster, and common example is about the cyclone prediction system, which results into reducing the harm or reducing the loss which incur because of these situations, right, due to these disasters. So we have selected 4 units. The first is on e-commerce, second is on e-governance, the third is on the educational system, and the fourth is on medical system. Now as far as e-commerce is concerned, E-commerce is nothing a new thing for us. It is just commerce. So selling and purchasing goods and services through electronics means, that's all. So we have added what we add is the electronic ways of delivering those particular things. Selling and sellers and purchasers can be individuals or organizations, right? So on that basis, the different combinations can be developed for sellers and purchasers, and those basically define the class or the classes, or basically we classify e-commerce into that. For example, if we say business to business, then this kind of an e-commerce will be dealt with where seller is a business as well as buyer is also a business, right? Whereas business to B2C is basically business to consumer, and that is what we normally are more comfortable when we go to most of the websites to buy some of the stuff. Then there can be consumer to consumer also, where one consumer is selling his or her own product to another consumer, right? So there can be many different kinds of classification, and these classifications are on the basis of who is the seller and who is the buyer. But why this classification has to be made? Well, technically speaking, there are differences. When a business is selling to a business, there is always a credit in the facility involved. There is always a bulk transfer which is going to take place. On the other hand, if a simple customer is buying from a business, right, like the one which we buy very few products, right? And then although we have different kinds of payment models available to us, but then the payment is small. Whereas when we are talking in terms of business to business, then there are different kinds of guarantees and warranties which are transferred between them, so that there is no default on payment. So all those things lead to different classification of e-commerce systems, right? So unit 1, which is on e-commerce, basically defines the term e-commerce and explains the detail of internet on e-commerce, on commerce. So how internet has changed the commerce in the years and maybe in the future. I think one common example which you might be knowing, I mean, you go to any of those sites, e-commerce websites today, right? There is a typical life cycle though. So all the products, you can search the products are organized into categories. So from those categories there is a pricing, there are certain schemes available to you. Using those schemes you can buy, you can reduce your cost, right? Then you create you put your thing into cart, right? Shopping cart, where you can put in the stuff for later on purchases, or maybe just fill up those carts, and then from those carts ultimately you purchase, right? Now when you are purchasing, then basic information required will be the address, right? The name, address, all those things. Now if your name, address is there, then obviously it has to be authenticated. So they want you to do some kind of authentication over there, and then the payment model will be there, all those things, right? So the whole cycle is going to be there. And finally, don't forget, the logistics are very, very important. Ultimately the product is to be delivered at the customer's end, and that is going to be the most important stuff. Like if the product is delivered in time, then the customer is happy, right? So many stages are there, but definitely e-commerce, the electronic media stops at one particular moment, and then physical activity has to take control at some point of time. That is the logistics and the final delivery. Although electronic technology is going to help in each and every directions, right? Creating those packets, how they will be delivered, where they will be delivered, how they will be put into packets, different packets, and how those packets will be transported. All those things are very, very interesting. There are several, algorithms. Algorithms are basically the way how to solve a particular problem. So there are many algorithms which have been developed to do those kinds of activities. So this is very interesting area also, and there are different courses to talk about the algorithms and so on and so forth. But the crux of the matter is the things are now at your doorstep, technically speaking, and how? Because of availability of ICT. Now this particular unit also discuss about the advantages and limitation of e-commerce. Now e-commerce have certain limitations in general, but those physical stuff, but I think this you will be coming to know about those things over there. There are many advantages but limitations too. Then consumer oriented e-commerce applications has also been discussed over there, specifically business to consumer kind of e-commerce. So some of the things how they are going to be advantageous to us. Interesting thing is going to be the part of this particular unit is the system of payments. Well, the system of payments which are discussed in the unit includes credit card, digital cash, the payment wallet, and there are newer methods, right? So those newer methods you may not find in the unit, the written unit. However, what you can do, you can explore onto the internet, and the video lecture which will be provided to you will contain some newer information which you can explore then onto the use with the help of ICT itself, right? With the help of internet technology, you can use not information, internet technology. Information technology is onto internet technology, so you can use the internet technology for this particular purpose. A lot of information is available these days, and it's growing every day, right? So it is always good to keep pace. Okay, so use the World Wide Web or the internet to find out more about what are the latest development as far as digital cash is concerned, how secure it is nowadays, and like that. So learning is continuous process. It doesn't stop with my block, it doesn't stop with my unit, it stops only when we stop learning. So never stop learning, keep moving. All right. Then there are security issues which have been discussed in this. So the unit talks about the digital signatures and the certificate. It talks about secure socket layer, firewall and Kerberos. So all these technologies which are very, very important. I always say the security is of paramount importance when we are dealing with especially the financial aspects or the payments. Why? Because it's my money, it's your money, right? Nobody has right to take that money from us without we giving that particular money to him or her for whatever purpose we want to use it. But yes, it is my right, and I only should give that particular money of my choice if I am buying some services or if I am buying some of the products. And it should not be taken away just like that from me with the help by some kind of security loophole or so, right? So you should be very careful while using the digital transaction that you do not fall into trap of the people. Okay. Then there are ATM and online banking which has been discussed as part of this particular unit. So ATMs are now the reality. Most of us know ATMs. We have been dealing with ATMs on day-to-day basis, right? So over there are certain security protocols, right? Then the online banking, many of us are now involved into digital transactions, doing digital transactions and so on and so forth. So online banking safety checks has been highlighted over there. But my feeling is that you don't stop that, okay, these are the only guidelines. You have to go further, you have to learn further all the time. And that will keep you secure, safe, and happy. Okay. In a very interesting application in this particular unit is about ticket purchasing using the railway reservation system. And I think now the time has come when we all should be rather than depending on others, we should be able to buy our own tickets. We should be able to create our own accounts, right? We should be able to book airline tickets. We should be able to book railway reservation system, right? Whatever. And even these days the bus reservation systems are also there, right? So we should be moving forward and doing many of those things electronically in a very secure and safe manner. The unit 2 talks about e-governance. Now, e-governance is application of ICT in providing government services and exchange of information between them. So, this is like exchange of information maybe between the government to the citizen, right? Government to businesses, okay? Then the government to government, these kinds of things, and government to employees. So there are many things these days, like I mean, if you want to take a ration card, if you want to buy, if you want to get your certificates, birth certificate of your children, all those things you can get electronically these days. And this is a very important thing these days, right? So you must interact with the government systems, and in addition, lot of government schemes are there for each one of us. So we should be aware of those schemes, and we should be knowing how to apply for those schemes, and those things are online. All right. So we should be utilizing those kinds of stuff. Then only we will be actually moving into the rightful user of the e-governance. So this particular unit provides you basic information, or it talks about several projects of the government, but once again you got to go to the website to look into the latest stuff which is there available as far as the government websites are concerned. And one good project which you must be knowing is the UID project. Is a project to create digital identity of Indian residents. So most of us have Aadhaar, right? Aadhaar number. That is a UID project all about, right? The UID aims to provide a real-time service for verifying the identity of any Indian resident through biometrics and demographics information by name called Aadhaar. So now if you have an Aadhaar card, it proves that where you are staying, it proves that with the help of your biometrics, by looking into your biometrics, yes, you are the right person, he is the person, right, or she is the person whom we are referring to. So your identity is certain. Now e-governance, other things which we can say is this particular unit, which is unit 2, talks about government, governance and democracy. How e-governance originated in India, various kinds of e-governance projects which are there in India, then measures to be considered before going to e-governance. So some of the things like what things are to be done as far as e-governance is concerned, what are not to be done, right, and what measures are to be taken to go in for e-governance. And last but not the least, e-governance system, right, requires massive infrastructure. Now, if you are working in a government organization, right, and you want to bring in some kind of governance thing to the public, then you should be aware about those kinds of things with you. So keeping those things in mind, we have this unit, this unit will be imparting you some of the skills, or not skills in that particular sense, but some information which will help you in understanding what may be the requirement when you are wanting to launch a e-governance scheme for the public. The third unit then talks about e-learning. Well, e-learning is one of the most important application in present day, especially under the current situation where we have moved into a situation where we are moving out of our houses very seldomly. We are not moving frequently out of our house. Very few days we are moving out, and most of our activities are being done from the home, right? So SWAYAM is one of the free online e-learning platform from which the CIT program is coming to you, and you should be using this particular platform for many more courses if you want to learn about them. So it is you who can decide what additional things you would like to learn, right? And you should not stop your learning. It should go on and on and on. E-learning platforms allow learning through multimedia rich contents and interactions among the teachers and the student. Now, this is a very important situation in e-learning situation. Like in SWAYAM platform, you will observe itself that there is a content, written content, there are pictures available, then there are videos available to you. So you can use all this multimedia content for the learning purposes, and you enjoy that particular learning, right? Then you go through some test items, right, question answers, which are essential for knowing what you have learned, right? If you have just learned and have not reflected, then probably you will not be able to learn that much. So it is essential that you go through the grind of answering questions, right, and solving problems. If you do that, then your learning will be consolidated, it will be becoming permanent. Therefore, it is important that you also go through the question answer discussion, right, and the test items, like all the tests, and try to complete those particular tests. There are many other things which this unit talks about e-learning. the role of ICT in education, right? So this basically explains how ICT can help in education, the benefits and limitations of ICT and e-learning in that particular sense, the technologies used for e-learning which are there, right? Online examinations about and e-learning standards and teleconferencing and video conferencing. Now these days many of you might have gone through various online meetings. Now what are those? These are just video conferencing. If you do not have bandwidth, then you utilize the telephone services, and that is teleconferencing which you are using. Online examination is one of the most talked about domain these days, because the students have to sit at home. Now how to make them appear for examination in a proctored situation? That is one of the situation for e-learning kind of a situation. Unfortunately, we have a very huge mass of student. Otherwise, there are technology which can help us in conducting online examination, but because we are so many and many of us do not have facilities at home, therefore those online examinations were not possible. But then maybe in near future those are going to be the reality as far as e-learning is concerned. Then the unit 4 talks about the medical systems. Now ICT can be used in many different ways for medical systems. So this particular block is one of the most exhaustive block, and this particular unit of this particular block is the most exhaustive unit of this particular block, which discusses the importance of ICT in medical system. This unit informs about various devices that can be used in medical system. So it basically tells us, okay, so some of the devices which can be used, some of those can be CT scanners, some of them can be MRI scanners, some of them can be the ultrasound systems, and so on and so forth. Right. But in addition, I mean, this is not just the only thing which it talks about. It talks about the role of ICT in healthcare, which is there, as I think it has been presented in quite a great detail, like health education. Okay. So health education is one important area which can be imparted with the help of ICT, right? So a lot of good tips. I think most of you these days are hearing a lot of good information from the government websites, okay, about how to deal with the pandemic and all that. So that is typically health education, okay. Online health records. Now these, whenever we visit an hospital and our record is being created, online record is being created in many of the hospitals, and that is available throughout, right. So the next time you visit, that record is available. And the problem with the physical record is that many a times we are not having the habit of collecting our records properly, right. So some tests are performed, probably next time when we go to hospital we do not have access to those tests with us, right. We have forgotten it, or it may be lying in somewhere in our file and we are not able to locate it. So but if there is an electronic ICT based health record system, it is available all the time, right. Patient monitoring system and home care. So even if you are sitting at home and God forbid that happens, but then suppose some patient is having a pacemaker, right, and that pacemaker, all the information from the pacemaker can be directly communicated to healthcare system. Doctor can monitor your stuff directly without any problem. And he also don't need to monitor all the time, because any variation there will be, there will be alerts which will be made available. All this is possible because of ICT, right. Online medical advice. These days people are available online and they provide us good advice, good advice in the form of like what to be done, what not to be done in different situations. Then there are knowledge based expert systems, which once again they have related to some kind of efficiency, right. So but then they are available as a preliminary source of information, right. Although if you are not well, if you are because suffering from some particular disease, it is not advisable to go to any of these expert systems or so. If you have doctor available, first visit the doctor. Then pharmacies are now available online, so you can order online medicine. So this unit talks about that. Then computer assisted surgery. Now this is another interesting domain these days, right? So you can see, you can watch what is going on. There are all the information the doctor is able to see with the help of a camera which has been inserted onto with a small tube, and all those surgeries are possible these days, right? Evidence-based medicine, where the doctors can access to a lot of databases outside where evidences are stored for different kinds of medicine. And if a patient is suffering because of a very rare kind of a disease, then those information can be collated in a particular evidence-based system and can be utilized. Then we have telemedicines and remote consultations, right? So those are very much possible these days, where through telephonic discussion or we can get the thing. Then public health, I think you know that public health is how to stop, what to do, what not to do, what are the good things for us. So this all comes under the public health. Then there are e-prescriptions available to us. So all these things, there may be some things may sound repetitive, but then there are small differences among those, and when you study the unit, you will come to know about these things. Then online health websites and groups are nowadays available, which can help you, and some of the links are provided over there. But then you can search for more links, you can search for the latest available stuff, because things keep changing. Okay. Then this particular unit also talks about bioinformatics, and you know, the genome project, and this project is very, very important. So it gives a pointer to that particular bioinformatics project. And then talks about medical transcription. At one point of time, medical transcription was one of the most important things. So it talks about medical transcription and handheld devices in the medicine, which nowadays is a reality in many hospitals, that handheld devices are there, and doctors are able to look into many of the information about the patient directly, even if they are they may not be in the hospital. They may be able to get to many different kinds of information with the help of handheld devices. If they are in the hospital, yes, well and good, and that kind of a thing is possible. So medical system, umpteen possibilities are there as far as ICT is concerned. So let me try to summarize what we have tried to cover in this particular session. Well, Unit 1 defines the e-commerce and e-payment, e-banking and other related security issues. Unit 2 defines the e-governance and related projects. Unit 3 defines the e-learning and e-examination in details, and Unit 4 presents a detailed account about how ICT can help the medical system. So learn all these things, that is, these are the ICT in action, right, or IT in action. Learn them thoroughly and try to apply them in different situations. For the time being, bye for today.